이말레 맞어. 요 이말레 요.
Welcome to Pimpy's Investment Chat, where we keep investment talk simple. And here's your host, Pimpy.
What is going on out there, peeps? Okay, there's a lot of questions about a video that was released, so I do want to comment it, but I'm going to try a different approach and see if it makes sense, okay? So work with me here. We're going to comment on a video that was released that might help straighten out some of the things that you heard, okay? I just want to give everybody a quick reminder. You can go over to Pimpy's News Network. It is free for everybody. Everybody has access to the videos that are on the website. Before we get started, do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button. If you're not a subscriber, please do so, because when you do, it helps out the channel, and I certainly do appreciate it. If you're thinking about buying gold and silver, head on over to our friends at Miles Franklin. The link will be down below in the description. When you make your purchase, make sure you use promo code PIMPY, P-I-M-P-Y, and they'll take care of you. If you have any additional questions, you can reach us over here at this phone number or over here at this particular email. For all orders over $10,000, reach out by email and we'll make sure that you get a great deal. So come on over to Miles Franklin and add to your precious metal inventory. Yeah, so when I take a look at those kind of missile attacks that happened between Iran and Israel, you know, it doesn't look like they're trying to hit civilian areas. So they just went after an air base. Because the thing that goes through my mind is, if Israel really wanted to end these attacks, they can hit some real strategic targets in Iran, and this crap would be over with real quick. It doesn't seem like Iran wants to end this, and it doesn't seem like, you know, Israel wants to end this. It doesn't seem like they're hitting anything big. Don't get me wrong, the air base is big, but you could see the missiles, the 180 of them came down, and you've seen what the pictures look like after. I mean, still, most of the planes are functionable. Runway needs a little repaired. After watching those missiles land, I thought they were hitting into civilian areas. Anyways, back to Iraq. All right, let's try a different approach, okay? So you guys were asking me all kinds of questions about this one. So as usual, when you guys ask me a lot of the same questions, I just go ahead and make a video. So let's go ahead and do this.
It says the federal finance sends Kurdistan region salaries for September, and parliamentarian confirms arrival. I think this might even be a day before that, could be as early as Tuesday, or late in the evening, because they have different time zones. But it says an informed source reported on Tuesday, there it is right there, that Iraq's Federal Ministry of Finance will transfer salaries due for the month of September employees in Kurdistan region for Baghdad within the next 3 days. So they're giving you kind of a heads up. In this particular case, they said the payrolls for Kurdistan employees from the month of September and remaining amounts will be expected to be transferred during this week. So that means this week, because it says Tuesday. So, and distribution of money is what I'm looking for. So hopefully we don't see their distribution is at 1310.
I'm not sure why Kurdistan and Baghdad have to worry about paying the salaries at an exchange rate of 1310, because that's not even taken into consideration. They're just paying the salaries. They're in Iraq. They have the same currency. The exchange rate has more to do with international trade, and they're not doing international trade with one another. They're just paying the salaries.
So something happened. They say, hey, hold up, we're not quite ready. They're going to need everybody on the same page to be paid. If in fact they're going to make a big change in exchange rate, they're going to try to make sure that everybody gets paid similarly at the same time, or as close to it as possible. Nobody needs to get slighted. Nobody needs to have an unfair advantage or anything like that.
Again, he's incorporating the exchange rate with the payment of salaries. They don't have anything to do with one another. So the exchange rate doesn't make a difference. It's just them getting paid. That's it.
It says the federal government regarding the distribution of financial resources, including oil revenues. So they're even invoking oil revenues as part of this process. Oil revenues reeks of the hydrocarbon law. That's what it sounds like to me.
No, they're two different things, you guys. Just so you understand, they already sell oil. That's the revenue that they're talking about. As far as the hydrocarbon law, that's something separate altogether. So what is Iraq's hydrocarbon law? I've done videos about this before, but maybe we're a little rusty. The Iraq hydrocarbon law, also known as Iraq's oil law, is aimed to create a legal framework for the management of oil production and revenue sharing amongst various stakeholders in Iraq. And I notice a lot of content creators, when they see this revenue sharing, they're going, oh, this means the citizens are going to get paid. Profit sharing. The proposed law introduced PSAs that guarantees profits for foreign companies while allowing the central government to distribute remaining revenues on a per capita basis across regions. It also permitted provinces autonomy in granting exploration and production contracts based on constitutional provisions, allowing semi-independent regions governance over natural resources. They're allowing that province the right for exploration and production contracts. So I don't know if that's specifically for them, but at least they're granting them the permission to explore that. So as we know, they've been talking about the hydrocarbon law now for quite some time. Current developments. In recent years, there have been ongoing discussions about revising Iraq's regulatory framework concerning its hydrocarbon sector. A new draft has been presented aiming at establishing clear guidelines for foreign investment while addressing internal disputes over revenue sharing between Baghdad and the regional authorities like Kurdistan. Just know that the stakeholders are the Iraqi government, the companies that are involved with investing into the companies, the different provinces, the different governance. That's the stakeholders. Baghdad, Kurdistan, those are stakeholders. This legislative effort is seen as crucial not only for attracting international investment, but also for stabilizing Iraq's economy amidst ongoing political challenges. Iraq's hydrocarbon law represents both an opportunity for economic growth through foreign investment and a complex challenge due to eternal political dynamics surrounding resource control and revenue distribution. Because remember, you got some very corrupt politicians. If they had it their way, they'd keep it all for themselves. But the money's going to be distributed based on the per capita of each provinces. That makes it a lot more fair. One of the critical components of the hydrocarbon law is its emphasis on revenue sharing amongst different regions and governance in Iraq. This mechanism aims to ensure that all Iraqi citizens benefit from their country's natural resources rather than allowing wealth to be concentrated in specific areas or amongst certain groups. By establishing a fair distribution system for oil revenues, the law seeks to promote social equality and reduce regional disparities. However, it does not explicitly mandate direct cash payments to citizens. Instead, it focuses on creating a system where local governments can benefit from resource revenues through budget allocations. The law proposes that a certain percentage of oil revenues be allocated to provincial governments based on their production levels. This means that while local governments may receive increased funding for hydrocarbon revenues, how these funds are used, whether for public services or direct payments to citizens, depends on local governance structures and decisions. So each territory is going to decide what they want to do with their version of the funds. Iraq's hydrocarbon law significantly affects its exchange rate through its influence on oil revenues dependency, legal framework for investment, revenue distribution mechanisms, legislative changes impacting investors' confidence, and long-term economic planning. So no, the hydrocarbon law does not mandate that everybody get paid money. As a matter of fact, it doesn't mandate at all. But each sector gets to decide on how they want to use the money. If that government decides to give it directly to the people, then they have the choice to do that.
And if that's the case, they would probably have to have an exchange rate to value those assets, would they not? I think they would.
You're not evaluating your assets based on the exchange rate. It's based on the current market demand. That's how you base your pricing. The exchange rate doesn't have anything to do with it directly.
This gentleman says, I personally spoke with the Ministry of Finance, who assured me that the problem will be solved within 2 days. And he goes on to say that the spokesman says that the problem is not new, as it recurs monthly due to the delay in salaries for some retirees as a result of not completing their transfer to the government salary system.
This has always been a problem with Kurdistan and Baghdad. Making sure they get paid their salaries. Kurdistan doesn't always send all the oil they're supposed to. Baghdad won't always send all the money they're supposed to. Each party will accuse the other one of messing up the agreement. This has been going on for years.
So they told you they have a scheduled date, and so now they've all, what I read first was a little backwards, you guys, sorry about that, but the bottom line is that scheduled date to them was ready for the 16th of next week. And it says, the whole quote is, salaries will be distributed on the scheduled date, and there's no reason to delay them, pointing out the ministry's commitment to pay employees' salaries and its readiness to face any future challenges. So it's good. So they have it taken care of. You guys realize that these salaries, the operational side of the budget takes care of that stuff, but if they're not getting paid, there's a reason for that. And the reason why has to be something to the effect of something is going to change. It's going to be a different system. It's going to be an electronic system.
No, it's because Baghdad will complain that they're not getting the right quota or right production numbers of oil from Kurdistan. Kurdistan will complain that Baghdad's not paying them the agreed amount of money. That's usually the bickering going back and forth.
They're going to have to use most likely a real effective exchange rate, and that's the hope and prayer, because Al-Alaq has said that the deletion of the zeros project still exists. They're getting ready to talk about some more things that you're going to find is that everything's centered around having an exchange rate.
So militiaman still is having trouble understanding that a normal exchange rate is different than a real effective exchange rate. So the difference between the exchange rate and the effective exchange rate is this. An exchange rate is the price at which one currency can be exchanged for another. It reflects the current market value of a currency in relation to another currency. The real effective exchange rate, on the other hand, is a more comprehensive measure that evaluates a country's currency relative to a basket of other major currencies, adjusted for inflation differentials between those countries. The REER provides insight into a country's international competitiveness by considering how much goods and services cost in different countries after accounting for price level differences. Two different things. He's saying they're hoping for a better real effective exchange rate. They have a real effective exchange rate already. It's being used. But that's not the same as an exchange rate. Two different things.
If they were going to pay these citizens at $13.10 every single year for the tripartite budget, then why haven't they done it?
First of all, only the government employees get paid out of the budget, but the exchange rate has nothing to do with it whatsoever. They're not paying the citizens based on the exchange rate. They just pay the citizens whatever the hell they're supposed to be paid. You're talking about apples and oranges, two different things. Why would they be paying their citizens based on the exchange rate? They pay them based on their skill level, experience, the job they're doing, and how much they can get per hour, just like everybody else. Two different things.
Here's an article that calls it for the government completes the file for joining the WTO. So we had a lot of information in the past about Iraq having completed the requirements, and they're going to reiterate that topic again for a few articles. Actually, they're going to talk about it. It says that after important achievements achieved by the government in more than one file and sector, the turn came to go to the world and to confirm that Iraq has become a significant economic power and possesses all the qualifications and capabilities to join the World Trade Organization after completing all preparations for this.
This is good. This is just Iraq completing the next step. They still got more steps to go. Little by little, they're working their way right through all the necessary steps. Keep in mind, they are already members of the World Trade Organization. This is to get them reinstated. But they're moving right along.
Okay, so again, Iraq, if they haven't gone onto the international community, onto the Forex market, onto any of that at 1310 or 1186 or any of the 000 ranges that their currency's been at for years, then why would they be going to do it now at 1310?
Iraq is already on the 4X. I don't know why he insists on saying there's no way in how they're going to do with the exchange rate of 1310. Well, let me tell you this. The last recorded exchange rate on Forex for Iraq's currency against US dollar was 1,300 Iraqi dinars for every 1 US dollar. And that was as of February 7th of 2023. As far as saying they can't do it with an exchange rate of 1310, remember I told you pay attention to Vietnam because they are on the Forex and they trade 24,836 Vietnam dong for every 1 US dollar. So it's not how many dinars you get per dollar that matters. You just calculate how the official exchange rate's going to be and you get on the Forex. So yes, they can go on there with 4 digits. They can go on there with 5 digits. They can go on there with 6 digits. They can go on there with as many digits as necessary. But when you talk about Iraq's real effective exchange rate, well, the last time they calculated was 2017, and it was 1,180 dinars for every dollar. So the real effective exchange rate is being used, and that is the last known real effective exchange rate.
It doesn't work that way. It's just not going to be that way because it's not a real effective exchange rate in our opinion.
They don't report the real effective exchange rate on the Forex. They would just report the normal exchange rate, the one that facilitates international trade, not the real effective exchange rate. That's only used to measure the country's competitiveness against other countries. But as far as the actual exchange rate on the Forex, that is something totally different. Anyways, look, I don't want to keep going on and on and sound like I'm beating up on militia, man, but we've spoken about these things many times. And you would think after doing this for God knows how many years, he would have learned these things and been able to explain them better. Anyways, I hope that clears things up. I know you guys had a lot of questions. Like I said, I hope this helps you out, explains things a little better. As I was saying earlier, this bombing between the two countries, it's crazy to watch because it almost looks like they're trying not to hit each other, but try to look like they're doing some kind of damage. It's crazy to watch. It really is. Anyways, that's it for now. I'll get you later. I'm out.